Former cult members of Reddit. At what moment did you go, oh, I'm in a cult? Watching my grandma, who is the matriarch of my extended family and our family's glue, struggle to pay tithes and offerings every week, regardless of how much a difference it would have made to her versus our rather large church. My grandma paid for her meds in change on a Monday, and while I watched our preacher get into a brand new black and chrome Yukon Denali the Sunday prior, and it didn't make sense. Then, within the hearing of all the people, he said to his disciples, "Be on guard against the scribes who like to go around in long robes and love greetings in marketplaces, seats of honor in synagogues, and places of honor at banquets. They devour the houses of widows, and, as a pretext, recite lengthy prayers. They will receive a very severe condemnation." Luke 20:45-47. When they said, "I'm going to marry someone from Korea," when I said no, they said they already bought the plane tickets. "You're going to marry a nice Korean person." No. Come on, we already bought the plane tickets. In that case, have fun on your Korean vacation. One of the leaders said that we shouldn't watch any TV or read any material that wasn't published by the church. I said, "Well, I just like Road and Truck magazine. I don't think that's anti-religious." He replied, "That material will cause you to lust after material things, and you shouldn't read that." It was at that point I knew I had to get the hell out of there. I mean, he was right. I currently have lots of broken car parts and no money. Parents joined the Jehovah's Witnesses for a few years when I was a kid. One Saturday, I stayed the night at a friend's house and went to church with them on Sunday. Minister at my friend's church talked about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I was confused. Next Sunday, at the Kingdom Hall, I asked our minister about it after services. He said, "I don't know what you're talking about." Even at 11 years old, I knew he was lying. If he'd simply said, "That's a concept that we don't believe in," I wouldn't have lost respect in him, nor would have decided that everything coming out of his mouth was suspect, but I did. Spent decades as an agnostic as a result. When the High Lama snapped a crying toddler on the side of the head to get him to shut up, then demanded that children be kept out of earshot 1,000 yards away. Great compassion, my ass. Not to mention he got drunk every night while he taught. Not to mention he said Westerners lacked the discernment to judge and choose their own teachers. Hello, fellow ex-Eastern religion friend. May I ask what sect you escaped from, yeeted out of your life? Mine was a weird hybrid of Shavist and Nyingma Buddhist. Was accidentally in a religious cult. I would see how the pastor would treat non-members and members that didn't comply with what he wanted, and would think, I hope he doesn't start acting this way towards me. He would berate people, gossip, expect us to stay at his house until late hours, force us to hang out with non-members, and he even asked me to move in there when I already had my own place. I noticed it was a cult when I told them I was hanging out with an old friend, and they proceeded to ask why I was doing that and that they were my friends. I came to a service that following Sunday and the pastor sees me and says, I had a message I was going to preach, but I'm going to preach a different message today. The whole service was pretty much him talking shit about me and making rude jokes. I knew this sermon was about me when he kept referencing the person hanging out with other people and saying it was sinful and of the world. I never felt so embarrassed in my life with everyone laughing at me. I sat that entire service just embarrassed. Once I left, several of the members attempted to contact me, with a few of them trying to go to the movies with me at midnight when they knew damn well the closest movie theatre was an hour away, and what movie theatre shows movies at midnight. After I stopped going to that church, a few of the members completely stopped talking to me, despite us being friends. Still can't believe that happened to me. I saw an ambush intervention re-indoctrination in your future. Glad you stopped going to that church. I was actually in a church that transformed slowly into a cult. They just slowly started doing more and more miracle things and being open more and more days open with encouragement to be there for those days. Tithes became incredibly important and the priest's family became more and more important. I left, but I heard some insane things happen after I left. I was lucky, as I came from a really complicated low socioeconomic background. When I moved for uni, there wasn't much fight for me. This sounds so much like my mother-in-law's non-denominational evangelical church. I went to a service with her once, and it seemed to me that they were worshipping the pastor and his family at least as much as they were worshipping God. It creeped me all the way out, and I never went again. My time with Primerica. So just for you guys who don't know what Primerica is, I didn't know either, so I looked it up. It's a multi-level marketing company that has been accused over the years of being a pyramid scheme. Weekly events that had long moments of clapping and loud music. Prevents thinking and conversation. Big events with clapping, music, doing things like the wave. Prevents thinking, conversation, and encourages conforming. Several speeches from my upline about how we shouldn't spend our time with people who don't want to be a part of the company, including family and lifelong friends. Planning on moving into the same community together that was referred to as the Primerica Estates. Parents had a Halloween party planned the same night as my Primerica office's Halloween party. I was chewed out for picking family over company. We travelled to events out of state. It was frowned upon us for us to travel on our own. They wanted us to go on a bus or van together. The idea that someone would be happier doing something other than Primerica? Comical. Surgeons, lawyers, military officers, scientists, all would be better off joining Primerica and giving up their jobs. Doing something that wasn't Primerica related? You better be ready to explain yourself. One guy got chewed out in front of the office for going to his grandmother's 80th birthday party. I went out of state with my then wife to celebrate our anniversary. It required me explaining to those running the office about my actual dedication to the company, even though I was only gone for one weekend. I even had to explain myself when I stayed home one Sunday to replace the brakes on my car. I was asked, "How is that going to improve your business?" My answer was, "I have to drive to people's homes to sell policies. I shouldn't have to explain how car maintenance is a business-related thing." Hobbies had to almost be company approved. If you're reading a book, it better be one to improve your business. Have a hobby that doesn't have any relation to Primerica? Drop it and focus more on Primerica. Sell your television if it's a distraction from your business. When it came to getting to the company event in Georgia, we were told that getting there is our highest priority. Sell anything you can if you can't afford to go. Tickets alone were over $100, including televisions, video game consoles, computers, so on and so forth. Kids weren't safe either. Those members who were 100% dedicated to the company who had kids dragged their kids to the office on nights and weekends. I saw kids the day after Christmas with some of their new toys, playing at the table in our break room, fighting off boredom. One pair of parents had a kid who got a laser tag birthday party invite that was the same day as one of the big dull events where higher ups from out of state came in to speak to us in long dull speeches. The parents told the kid, nearly in tears as we were in line to enter the event room, that going to this event was more important than playing laser tag. He's a 10-year-old kid, and he can't be a kid, has to follow this as what he will do for his lifelong career. Just left the Jehovah's Witnesses religion this year. Honestly, what really did it for me was the fact that my entire life, all the speeches and sermons started sounding identical, insisting that the end was coming. I was raised as one, so I just thought that it would have happened by now. I talked to an older friend of mine who also used to be in the cult and asked them, "Hey dude, when you were young, did they say the end was coming?" He answered that they've been preaching the same thing since the 60s. I was denied of a regular childhood and they took away my teen years. I vowed when I left that I wouldn't give that cult another day of my life ever again. My mom and her family have been super understanding and still talk to me as if nothing happened, even though they still attend regularly. I was young at the time, so I didn't realise until after my family had left. Looking back on it, the way the community practically worshipped the leader, hanging on his every word, whether it was what they should name their new baby or what movies were evil and would bring the devil into their lives, really should have tipped me off. The biggest red flag I can't believe I didn't realise at the time was when he decided one of the kids in the community was possessed and needed an exorcism. That kid was me. I won't bore you with the details, but remembering that years later is what made me finally realise, holy fuck, that was a cult.